Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Wrestling in 1985. On this episode, I will be talking about the American Wrestling Association. And as usual, we will be starting in January of 1985. The champions going into 1985 would be the AWA World Heavyweight Champion Rick Martel, the AWA World Tag Team Champions, the Road Warriors, the AWA Light Heavyweight Champion, Steve Regal, and the AWA Women's Champion, Candy Devine. The first big piece of news in January would be the introduction of a new title belt, the AWA America's Heavyweight title. The first champion would be crowned on January 7th, and it was Larry Zbyszko. In January, Rick Martel is defending the AWA title versus Jimmy Garvin, and the Road Warriors are defending the tag team titles versus the Fabulous Ones. Legendary AWA wrestlers The Crusher and Baron Von Raschke are still going strong. They would even challenge for the AWA tag team titles on February 16th, beating the Road Warriors by disqualification. At this time, Jerry Blackwell is feuding with the Masked Superstar. They would face off in lights out matches, strap matches, and multiple tag team matches. In March, Rick Martel defended his title versus Jimmy Garvin, Mr. Saito, Nick Bockwinkel, Jim Brunzell, and Kendo Nagasaki. On April 14th, Jerry Blackwell, Sergeant Slaughter, and The Crusher beat King Tonga, Sheik Adnan El Casey, and the Masked Superstar in a 6-man cage match. These 6-man tag team cage matches would happen multiple times throughout the month. At this point, the Road Warriors are defending their titles and feuding with Larry and Curt Hennig. In May, Rick Martel is defending the AWA World Heavyweight title versus Jimmy Garvin, Nick Bockwinkel, Larry Zbyszko, and Buddy Roberts. In June, Larry Zbyszko is feuding with Sergeant Slaughter, and on June 21st, Sergeant Slaughter beat Zbyszko to win the AWA America's Heavyweight title. In June, Rick Martel is defending the AWA World Heavyweight title versus Billy Robinson, Michael Hayes, and Nick Bockwinkel. By August, the Road Warriors are defending the AWA Tag Team titles versus the Long Riders. This is Wild Bill Irwin and Scott Hogg Irwin. Also in August, Steve Regal is defending his light heavyweight title versus Rock and Roll Buck Zumhoff. On September 1st, Ric Flair came to the AWA to defend the NWA World Heavyweight title versus Sergeant Slaughter. Sergeant Slaughter would get the win, but by disqualification, therefore he did not win the NWA World Heavyweight title. In September, Rick Martel defended the AWA World Heavyweight title versus Terry Gordy, Kamala, and Michael Hayes. The big AWA show of 1985 would take place on September 28th. This was Super Clash. The opening match of Super Clash would see Steve Regal successfully defend the AWA Light Heavyweight title versus Brad Rheingans. Sherry Martel beat Candy Devine to win the AWA Women's Championship. There was a 6-man tag team match as All Japan Pro Wrestling's Giant Baba, Genichiro Tenryu, and Jumbo Tsuruta beat Harley Race and the Long Riders. Little Tokyo successfully defended his title versus Little Mr. T. Mil Mascaras beat Buddy Roberts. There was a match from World Class Championship Wrestling as Kerry Von Erich successfully defended the Texas Heavyweight title versus Jimmy Garvin. Curt Hennig, Greg Gagne, and Scott Hall beat Larry Zbyszko, Nick Bockwinkel, and Ray the Crippler Stevens in a 6-man tag team match. The Road Warriors successfully defended the AWA Tag Team titles versus Michael Hayes and Terry Gordy, the Fabulous Freebirds. The NWA World 6-Man Tag Team titles would be defended as the Russians, Ivan and Nikita Koloff, and Crusher Khrushchev successfully defended versus AWA legends Baron Von Raschke, The Crusher, and Dick the Bruiser. Sergeant Slaughter successfully defended the AWA America's Heavyweight title versus Boris Zukov, getting the win by disqualification. Jerry Blackwell beat Kamala in a body slam match. The double main event would start when Rick Martel defended the AWA World Heavyweight title versus Stan the Lariat Hansen. The match would end in a double disqualification as both men brawled all over the stadium. The final match of the night would see Ric Flair successfully defend the NWA World Heavyweight Championship versus Magnum TA. The very next day, on September 29th, Jimmy Garvin and Steve Regal beat the Road Warriors to end their 400-day reign as AWA World Tag Team Champions. The main event of the September 29th show would see Rick Martel successfully defend the AWA World Heavyweight title versus Jumbo Tsuruta. Rick Martel would also continue his feud with Stan the Lariat Hansen. On November 14th, Rick Martel would successfully defend the AWA World Heavyweight title in a steel cage match versus Boris Zukov. On November 28th, Rock and Roll Buck Zumhoff beat Steve Regal to win the AWA Light Heavyweight title. That same night, Jerry Blackwell beat Michael Hayes in a strap match. And the main event that night saw Scott Hall win $100,000 in a battle royal. On December 29th, Rick Martel would lose the AWA World Heavyweight title to Stan the Lariat Hansen. Rick Martel's reign ended at 595 days. Stan Hansen would finish off 1985 as the AWA World Heavyweight Champion, and he would hold on to the title until he was stripped of the title. The story behind Stan Hansen being stripped of the AWA World Heavyweight title is because he refused to lose the title to Nick Bockwinkel because he was advertised for a match in All Japan Pro Wrestling as AWA World Heavyweight Champion. After his advertised match in All Japan Pro Wrestling, Stan Hansen drove over the AWA World Championship belt with his truck and mailed the belt back to Vern Gagne. Obviously, the belt was destroyed at this point in time, so a new belt was made and awarded to Nick Bockwinkel in 1986. And that was the story of the American Wrestling Association in 1985. Thank you very much for listening, and I will see you next week.